American South native Tom Robbins writes in his novel Jitterbug Perfume, "The minute you land in New Orleans, something wet and dark leaps on you and starts humping you like a swamp dog in heat. And the only way to get that aspect of New Orleans off you is to eat it off. That means crayfish, bisque, jambalaya, pecan pie, red beans with rice, raw oysters by the dozen, po' boy with chow chow at bedtime, and tubs of gumbo in between. It is not unusual for a visitor to the city to gain 15 pounds in a week. Yet, the alternative is a whole lot worse. If you don't eat day and night, if you don't constantly funnel the indigenous flavors into your bloodstream, then the mystery beast will go right on humping you, and you will feel its sordid presence rubbing against you long after you have left town. In fact, like any sex offender, it can leave permanent psychological scars."
Apparently I've come to the right town because a lot of places are named after me.
Welcome to Jazz Funeral.
My parents told me, don't give none, don't take none.
Music and information about the bad guy.
New Orleans is a great city with the exceptions of the politrictions. The politrictions. The politrictions. The politrictions.
How do you pronounce this?
Move to the left. Back on the ride. Here we are at the Crescent Park Bridge, and the door is locked. It says park hours 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I guess it's past 6 p.m. So, investigation is solved.
Writing on his time in New Orleans after World War II, one of the primary figures of the Beat generation and innovative novelist William S. Burroughs observed, "Tourists, servicemen, merchant seamen, gamblers, perverts, drifters, and lambsters from every state in the Union. People wander around, unrelated, purposeless, most of them looking vaguely sullen and hostile. This is a place where you enjoy yourself. Even the criminals have come here to cool off and relax." But revered epic fiction author Tom Robbins' prescription of gluttony wasn't for me, and therefore, not only was I psychologically scarred by this mystery beast that resides in what Mark Twain called the metropolis of the South, but this omnipotent monstrosity tore through my internal organs, causing a detestable intestinal malady. To quote from yet another American hero and recent Presidential Medal of Freedom recipient Bob Dylan, "The past doesn't pass away so quickly in New Orleans. You could be dead for a long time." I must have died 1,000 times. Every perennial millennial is employed first and foremost by the universe, primarily to find himself, herself, zerself, be it their alter ego or otherwise. So in between death and rebirth in the who-dat city, I risk the remains of my faltering sanity and the residuum of my gut feeling to take a ride on myself. That is, Six Flags New Orleans' abandoned grand attraction, the Jester. Vacated due to the devastation of Hurricane Katrina in 2005, SFNO soon became one of the nation's ultimate urban exploration destinations. It's an American urbex wet dream. So what would an expedition through destitution and depravity amount to without traversing the destruction, evading the wild boars, alligators, and police to find himself? And yes, that staff kept the creatures away. Trespassers are arrested on a weekly basis here, but I was on a spiritual quest. After finding myself and then riding myself, I unshackled myself from the constructs of establishment and became impervious to incarceration. What was left but to escape the Big Easy? To quote posthumous New Orleans luminary John Kennedy Toole, taking a page from Joseph Conrad, leaving New Orleans also frightened me considerably. Outside of the city's limits, the heart of darkness, the true wasteland begins. And that's life in America, abandoning one wasteland for another. Is this an investigation or a soul excavation?
After that, we went on to teach the children about David Bowie and enlightenment. We got to school on time, back to our bars, our kitchens, our server jobs, back to wishing for a Scandinavian political ideal, back to playing music for friends and acquaintances in relatively large-sized venues, not back to idealism or hope. Why keep going back? Does the disaffected youth who appear to resent everything around them except for their friends and their artistic endeavors progress without especially working for the clampdown? Isn't there any way off this roller coaster? You can't say something like that without sounding like a politriction. 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 Politriction.